some people have criticized, and I don't agree with this, that they'll say, well, the right has a problem with BLM messages during sports, social justice messages, but they don't have a problem when there's a Christian message like this at the end of a game. And personally, I think they're two very different things. I do think that athletes should stay away from social justice, BLM messages during games, because I think that those issues are really non-issues. They aren't what these people make them out to be. But as Christians, we should share every time we can our faith with others. And so I think it's important that athletes do that more often. I mean, where do you guys think the line is? Is there a line somewhere where the athlete shouldn't cross with political messages or Christian messages? What do you think? Caleb, will start with you.
This is such a complicated topic, man.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to kind of hear where we align and where we diverge on this. I think for me, I have a comfort level with somebody using their platform to speak out if I feel like, do they actually live out the message that they're espousing? I think there's a lot of people out there, frankly, that claim to be Christians or claim that they believe in God.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look at how they live their lives. And this isn't acting like I'm pure and everything's perfect for me.
Sure.
I make mistakes all the time. But I think there is a bit of your actions need to match up with what you say. Mm-hmm. So when you have a guy like LeBron who goes out there and he's like, Kyle Rittenhouse is a white supremacist and says all this crazy stuff, the only thing LeBron cares about is being better than Michael Jordan in everybody's perception. Mm-hmm. So what's his end goal? It's himself. It's raising his own profile and making himself bigger. And I think when you think about what Cooper Kupp did, Cooper Kupp was making himself smaller by pointing everything back towards God and being like, I'm the tool. You need to understand where this is all coming from. So I think when we're talking about these messages, does the actions match up with what the person says? And are they basically just doing this to make themselves benefit themselves in some way? Or are they actually sacrificing themselves for the betterment of somebody else?
I agree with that. I think to me, I think Caleb might disagree with me on this take a little bit. I think to me, a Christian message is totally fine. I think that's different from a political message. I think that's saying, the Lord gave me this ability and I'm going to use it to honor him. I think that's totally fine. Honestly, I wouldn't support it religiously, but if there was somebody who was Muslim and they went out there and they said it was their religion, I wouldn't agree, but I agree with that person's right to say that. I think the issue comes in when it comes to politics, and it's not so much that these people shouldn't be allowed to talk about politics. I don't think you can say, well, athletes should never be allowed to talk about politics. They have to just stay away from it, because they have free speech too, and they can talk about what they want to talk about. I think the issue is that for some reason, so many Americans give them more credibility. Like, why is it that what LeBron James says about politics, or what, I don't know, some activist NFL player, Colin Kaepernick, I can't think of anyone who's in the league right now. I'm sure there's plenty, but
most of them have flamed out.
Yeah, exactly.
Shocker.
Some activist who's playing football and getting paid millions of dollars, and then saying, I think that racism is inherent in America, or saying that we should abolish the police or whatever. It's like, you are not an expert on this topic. Just because you play football, just because you play basketball, whatever, doesn't make you any more qualified to talk about this than anyone else. If you want to go engage in a discussion with someone, that's great. If you want to go say, like, I'm famous and this is what I think and everyone should agree with me, I think that's where the issue comes in. And the part that I think Caleb would maybe disagree with me on, I think, to me, just my personal preference, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be allowed to talk about politics, but if it were up to me, I would like there to be no straight politics in sports, like supporting a candidate, like the WNBA when they came out against Kelly Loeffler, all this stuff.
All the Warnock, all the Warnock stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would like there to be no political campaigning in sports. I don't want to see people campaigning for Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis, and I don't want to see people campaigning for Joe Biden or Raphael Warnock or whoever. I would like that to not be a part of sports at all. That's just not the reality, and it's never going to be that way, and that's why we cover things when they happen, and politics and sports kind of intersect. But if it were up to me in an ideal world, I would like there to be no political campaigning at all.
How do you feel about it, Joey?
I think you both make very good points. I think there's something that maybe athletes and a lot of Americans probably don't understand. The U.S. was created, our Constitution and our culture was created, and I think can only survive from a Christian point of view. Our Constitution, our country will be destroyed unless it centers around Christian values. And so, like if I had it my way, there would be prayer before every sports game because I think that's really important. The reason you were given the talents that you have are because of God. And also, the reason this country exists is because our founders founded the country on fundamental Christian beliefs that come right out of the Bible. And so I think it's completely okay to have those beliefs and values in sports because I think that there needs to be more Christianity, more Christian values in our culture because we have fundamentally lost that. But I'm with you 100%. I don't think any politics should be talked about in sports.